G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today's video is working through my Christmas journal, and it will just be tons of clips of all the work I've kind of done in there so far. I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to kind of talk about my Christmas journal for a little bit. I am hijacking this voiceover again just to talk about anything and everything because it is Christmas Eve, and I realize that I've kind of missed sharing a whole bunch of stuff that's already happened, especially towards the later end of the year. I figured that I had a schedule in my head of how everything would work, and then there's a little spanner thrown in the works, and I haven't really been able to get around that at this point. So I figured, do you know what, let this just be a chatty, lay it all out there, all kinds of topics covered video, so I could kind of hit you with all of that before the end of the year. I've already got a dry mouth, so excuse me for a second. It's gonna be very chill, very relaxed, very laid back. So grab your journal, grab your coffee, do whatever, just hang out with me for however long this video is gonna go for. I am halfway edited through the video, so I don't even know how long the video is, but I assume I'm gonna chat for a while, so we might be around for a while. Who knows? The first thing I wanted to cover is Merry Mix Media. Just in case you haven't seen that, we are approaching Christmas really, really quickly, so go jump over onto Teachable. It is a free mini Christmas workshop that I like to gift every year. And then this year, like we did last year, we have the $50 coupon at the end of Merry Mix Media. So if for nothing else, join for that if you've wanted to access that coupon for my Teachable courses. It's only available for the courses, so not Collage Club, but there's a ton of courses up there. And I've mentioned this before in the last video, but the coupon is multiple use. It's valid until the end of this year. So once the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, everything's finished. So that's why I want to just kind of stress this, get that before it expires. But it is $50 US, and there are courses on there like the old playtest Patreon experiences, concept stamping workshops that will become free when you use that coupon, and it is multiple use. So I've seen a lot of people have got that information already and have signed up for tons of the courses that you can use that coupon for, and other people are purchasing lots of other virtual voyages. My suggestion, people always ask which one would you recommend doing. I love Virtual Voyage 2. I think it's super fun, especially if you're into Tim Burton. I mean, you kind of want to be, it's all about Tim Burton. Yeah, but Burtonville, Virtual Voyage 2, and the Pixar one. I really love the Lamplight Cruise. I think it was 4. So those two, I mean, I love all of them, but those two are the ones I really kind of recommend if you haven't done those already. Use that coupon for those as well. So go grab that, have fun with that. If you saw last week's video, you would have seen me use a sticker sheet that is all my favorite, well, some of my favorite ornaments from my Christmas tree. That's also in Merry Mix Media as well, so go access that there. That won't expire, but it's in the course if you're wondering where to get that download. Okay, that's that on that. Let's move on to... I literally have a page of notes here, and they're the most stupid notes. It's not going to help me. It just says Australia, video, Christmas. Australia, yes. We came back from Australia what feels like a million years ago. It feels recent, but it also feels like a long time ago as well. I'm going to talk about Patreon that's starting again in 2023, Playtest 3. We'll talk about that. But I think I'm going to save most of what I want to talk about in Australia until I can get Steve, because... I mean, we shared the experience together, so our stories, I think, would kind of be better bouncing off each other. Also, there's a really hectic story that involved Steve not actually getting on the plane to go to Australia, so I would love to have him on the video and for you to see my visual response to that story. But anyway, I'm planning some podcast type, maybe sit down video chat, maybe a podcast type thing for Playtest 3. In January, so hopefully we'll cover that there. But I am working on an Australia video that you will see on YouTube at some point, I'm assuming in the new year, working to show you the entire trip that we had. I've kind of vlogged it all together, and then also the journals that I worked on a journal, Elijah worked on a journal, and my nephews, my brother's boys also worked on some as well. So I've got a lot to share with you. None of them are finished. It's not like last year's where I think I got the whole thing finished. These are just all kinds of chaotic messes, but I love them anyway. So I'm gonna still share those. Who knows, I might work on some more, I might not, but I've actually turned a lot of that, a lot of all the photos I took in Australia that I was going to put in those journals, I've put them in my Christmas journal instead. I'm so sorry, this literally, the allergies, you can probably hear from the start of the video until now, my nose starts to go. I think there's I'm not even gonna go there. I'm so over talking about allergies. Anyway, I've got the laundry going as well, so that's probably not helping. Yes, so Christmas, we actually did like a mini family Christmas in Australia, very small because we were doing so many other things. So I've already kind of had a little bit of Christmas this year. This year, Steve and I will both be working on Christmas Day at Disneyland, so that's going to be a new experience for me and something I'm hoping to enjoy a lot. I've been to Disneyland as a guest on Christmas once, and I vowed I would never do that again. When people ask how it was, I usually just say you need a fast pass to go to the bathroom. It is so packed on, and they don't even have fast passes anymore. There you go. That's how dated that joke is. But yeah, I just said I would never go back in there. But I'm not going back in as a guest, so I feel like it'd be a completely different experience, and I am really excited to dance down Main Street and feel the Christmas joy of being there on Christmas Day. All of that to say, that was kind of the big thing that happened when I came back from Australia, and the thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, because even though I can't share a lot of specifics, such as the nature for working at Disney or like Disneyland, Disney Cruise, anywhere really, you can't really talk about too much for obvious reasons. But what I can say is that I had anticipated I would say a less full schedule. Is that the way I put it? I don't know how to say that. Originally, this was months and months and months ago, when I was talking about my availability, I had said that I'm local, so I'm pretty available, and I have my own business, so I can schedule my own hours, but that realistically, I wouldn't really be able to do more than 3 days a week because it just gets too much. Like I still do YouTube, I still do my workshops, I was doing Etsy at the time, I've stopped doing that for a second. My business takes a lot of time, even though I can take it with me or I can edit, not inside this room, it still takes a lot of time to do all the things that need to happen, right? So I said 3 days I think would be good because that would give me 4 days the rest of the week. I don't usually take days off anymore. I know that's a bad habit that I used to be in, and now I'm kind of back into it, but we'll address that next year. Or at least, 3 and 3. I could do an even split. Half my time at dancing, half my time doing my job here. Also, I knew going to dance at Disneyland, it's not like you're dancing from the start of the day right till the end. There is downtime, and I thought in the downtime I could work my journals, I could bring my editing, do stuff there, which I have been doing, but I didn't realize that so you get something called a grid, which is like the days that you'll work, and those are your guaranteed days of work. So I ended up with 3 of those days, which I thought was great. I couldn't do any more than that, and it would give me a good opportunity to perform every week that I was really looking for, right? I've been waiting for this for so many years, so I was really excited. But then I didn't realize they could schedule you still on days that you weren't actually gridded. So what ended up happening was, even though I had 3 gridded days, I ended up with 5-day schedules. And it's up to you to kind of, give those shifts away, find someone to cover for you or to trade them out for something else. And being new to the department, I felt like I didn't really understand all of that in the beginning. And I thought you could just say I can't come in. And I think there is a way to kind of do that, but it all happens so quickly. You get your schedule weeks in advance. So before I knew it, my whole schedule was kind of full. And it just really threw me for a loop because all of those days I'd anticipated using, a full day for a Merry Mix Media and then a full day for working on something else. And, I still have art snacks. I needed a full day to do that. So all of these kind of things that I had put in different time slots, suddenly none of those time slots were available. I had to wait until one of the 2 days off to go and do that. But then even then, my grid and the way that the schedule fell, sometimes today is my day off I'm actually doing this on Wednesday, but you'll see this on Friday. Today's my day off, but I'm back in tomorrow and on Friday, and then I'm off again on Saturday. So it's not 2 consecutive days off. So I have to wait until Saturday to do something else that I need to do during the day. Having said that, I can do things in the morning, so I've been waking up in the morning, and I've been juggling 2 full-time jobs, and I have never done that before. Kudos to everyone who has done that before, or is currently doing that, or doing 3 jobs, or whatever you do. Yeah, it's just something, it was an adjustment period that I'm still kind of fresh in. I got a lot of grace for myself, but there are things that I have committed to that, I can have all the grace in the world. It still needs to be done. So that's been a challenge. It's been an okay challenge. I think I've managed it, but then, things kind of just... So that was one of the spanners in the works, right? But then I went to Teachable, and Teachable were forcing that upgrade on me. So all of a sudden it was pay $1,200, or you don't get to upload this Merry Mix Media. So that was just such a bad. It's like such bad timing to like force that upgrade right before Christmas, especially after we'd just gone to Australia. I wasn't feeling like I had, you know, a spare $1,200. So that was kind of irritating. And also, that pushed that back a few days. And I don't have days to be pushing things back because the next thing snowballs on top of that. You would know. Anyone who, works any job knows. It's just the way it is, right? Time keeps moving, even if you don't. So it's been interesting. It's been a bit of a challenge. I have felt okay. I think I've always felt like I've forgotten something, and I did. I totally forgot that I was supposed to be teaching, and that was terrible. I think it was the first time I've ever really just forgotten about that. I wouldn't have been able to anyway, but I still completely forgot to say anything, so that was my bad. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of chasing my tail a little bit, but it's hard because I'm mixing that feeling of like maybe disappointing myself a little bit with the overjoyed feelings I have about dancing again. So there's like such a stark contrast with how my brain's trying to process this information. I'm like really disappointed in myself with some of my own business things, but I'm really, really happy with myself about some other dancing things. And I ended up at an audition last week for Knott's Berry Farm, and that went super well, but I kind of knew it wouldn't work out because I have really bad conflict. I made it right to the end of the audition. I got measured and everything. So even though I won't end up doing that show, like that was just one of those moments where like I just felt so proud of myself. I couldn't believe I got through the whole thing. I couldn't believe my body could do half the things that I didn't think it could do anymore. And there was no reason for me to try those things. Like I'm not just going to stand in my living room and try to do one of those tricks. So unless someone actually asks me, I didn't even really know. It was a little bit risky. I did risk it, but I'm walking, I'm fine. I'm still going. Yeah, so that I felt so great about. But then on the flip side, I was like, but I need to go and do all this stuff for my job, and I feel like I'm letting people down. And that's the other thing too. I'm trying to balance that with the realization that I haven't not offered anything. Like I haven't not provided anything. The stuff that I say I'm going to do, I'm going to post as much as I can on Instagram. I still do that. I post TikToks if I can. I post every Friday on YouTube, and then sometimes even extra days on YouTube. So like, I don't know where this idea of me not doing it is coming from. I've had a few comments, and I know people's intentions are really good, and I didn't take them the wrong way, but maybe they're in the back of my head somewhere that like people have noticed the shift. I personally feel like it's been a really good shift for me, obviously personally, but yeah, I do fear that people are going to view what I'm doing here as completely different now, or like this takes a backseat, or this is not as important anymore, or I've like given up on it, because I really haven't. I'm just doing this and that as well. And even though I'm in a weird transition period, perhaps it's all just going on in my head, because I expect so much of myself, and I want to be able to do more, and I need more time than I have. Maybe that's where the thoughts are coming from. But yeah, I have a few intrusive thoughts about how I'm doing at the moment. I think it will be all okay. I think the big test for me will be when we do Playtest Patreon 3, because I have a very set schedule for that, and I have lots of things that I would like to try. As per usual, Playtest Patreon, like if you didn't know this, years ago I did these Patreon experiences. Sorry, I'm going to jump into that topic now. I feel like it was a good segue. Years ago I did, look at that sunlight. Should I be in it or out of it? Totally distracted now. I think I want to be out of it. Let's go here. Years ago, 2018 and 2019, I did, if you don't know why I'm doing this, it's because of my allergies. I feel like I can breathe better when my nose is like pushed on. And I don't want to sneeze or anything, because once I start, I won't stop. Years ago, I did Playtest Patreon in 2018 and 2019, and we did a 2-month version and a 3-month version, if I'm not mistaken. But I only ever wanted to do Patreon in those really limited time frames because I wanted to try it. I wanted to see if I could do it. I was kind of challenged by someone to see if I could, and I felt like I had to prove myself. And, it was all that kind of drama. I've made videos on that before, and like my whole experience and how I felt about it and everything. And I'm still obviously anticipating feeling the same way. This will be very different though, because Playtest Patreon 3, I'm not having mailer tiers. Steve and I floated the idea of doing like a postcard mailer tier, because that was more than doable, but even that I felt like At this point, everything still feels too fresh for me. Like maybe I would introduce that maybe in the 3rd month or something for like the final month or whatever. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't think I'm going to start that in January at all. So I might leave that for a second. And it was just a postcard because I felt like that was something that maybe Steve and I could work on together with photography that he does, or and that it was something physical. So if you really did want to have some kind of physical element to it. But then again, like I've made products before for Patreon, for the mailer boxes that I could possibly still make and just offer those in Etsy. So I have options where I feel like it won't be completely different. But the idea of Playtest Patreon was just an experience where I could kind of play in all the extra ways that I didn't have any other platform to do it back then, because this was before Teachable, before I had Virtual Voyage and was launching all those workshops and everything. So I didn't really have a place. I don't even think I had my website back then. I didn't really have a place where I could just share downloads, or where I could try a podcast if I wanted to try it and see if that was a thing that people liked, or where I formatted, you know, the Playtest Press, those little newspapers and everything. I mean, we tried it all, and I think everything I learned from that became the basis of the kind of Virtual Voyage workshops that I do, where there's a lot of tutorials in it, there's a lot of learning, but it's also kind of a content experience. It's just about being in that community at that time. You know, Virtual Voyages are themed, Playtest Patreon's not really themed, but you get to enjoy just more of what you like, right? And I think that's what a lot of people go to Patreon for. They like what they see kind of in a public space, and they want to go to behind someone's paywall to see what else is there, what more is there. So that's why I also encourage you, if you're curious about what any of that really looks like, you can go back and join, especially with that coupon, the 2018-2019, all that course is bundled on Teachable, so that's where those are. But I will try it on Patreon again. I'm curious to see what the differences are having left it for a few years and see what it is now. I'm curious to know what it feels like without the mailing tier, because that was a big stress. If you remember that before, I was always on the phone screaming at a manufacturer about something. But yeah, that won't be something this year, or this coming year. I've decided I wanted to structure it a little bit differently as well, by having an A week and a B week, and then having content be like on the A week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on the B week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, if that makes sense. So it's every other day, which essentially means you get 2 rotations throughout the month. And I wanted to kind of do that because I felt like I wanted to try series of things. So like maybe for, you know, a few of the Mondays, I was going to try something that was like a series. So that's all in my head. It's all subject to change. Playtest Patreon really is just that. Like, it's a playtest. It could change at any moment. The only guarantee is that there's just extra content in there. So if you like whatever you see in any of the spaces that I share, there'll be lots more to find over there as well. So I'll let you know more about that. It is supposed to start January. Today, I plan on getting on the Patreon and setting up all the back end of it. So that's something hopefully you can wish me luck for, because I don't know what it looks like anymore. I don't really feel like getting on the computer today. I've got so many Christmas errands to run before I even think about doing that. So I might do that later. Excuse me for a second. And then what else have I got on here? Dancing. Oh, I guess to take you out of all of the scheduling dancing talk, dancing itself has been so wonderful. I feel like a dancer again, because every day I come home, something else is aching, which is exactly how I felt when I was younger. Like, it's not a problem. I think, like, mentally it screws with me a little bit more because I'm older now, so I think it's like an age thing, but it's totally not. Some of it is, but most of it is just, that's just the nature of the game, right? But yeah, I've been doing the Christmas Fantasy Parade at Disneyland. I've been performing in that, and I've just absolutely loved it. I get chills when I go down Main Street and I see the castle all lit up at night. I love seeing all the guests, and I love seeing all the interactions. It is very stimulating. Like, it's kind of like a sensory overload. You have this music and the sights and the sounds, and like, I mean, everything is just going on, and you're performing, and you're having this moment where you're performing to an audience member, like a young, I especially like when I see like young children and they're watching it back, and I think of me watching that when I was younger, and even though I didn't see Disneyland when I was younger, just having those experiences and knowing that like some of those things are formative experiences, right? Like, a lot of the dancing I saw when I was younger is what kind of made me want to be a dancer when I was older. So to feel like I get to play a part in that just feels really, really special. The dancing itself, I really enjoy. It's something that I am kind of proud I can do. I think even years ago, it's not even an age thing with this, and I don't really want to go too deep into it because it's such a heavily layered topic, but a lot of fear, how do I want to say this? A lot of things I experience as a result of PTSD I have, kind of would prevent me or really strongly discourage me from doing something like a parade where, you know, I might have to be starting at one point and I won't be able to leave or stop until I'm finished at the end. I have like I said, I don't really want to go into this, but I have like a thing about if I can't get out, I need to be able to get out. I need to be able to escape. And it really does something mental to me when I can't. So I've always got like, I mean, I've never really discussed this before, but I'll always know where the exits are for something, and I'll always need to know that I can get out. I don't like to be strapped into things that I can't get myself out of. I mean, there are obviously times where I've learned how to deal with that and things that I'm much more okay with now, but for years ago, like absolutely not. Like I couldn't even get on public transport without feeling like I just needed to get out. So that is something I've definitely worked on, and a parade for me, like and it's not just that, there are a bunch of other things too, like with the vehicles and how close we get to them and stuff like that. I just felt like maybe at some point this PTSD would come in and kind of ruin it for me. And this is much more of a personal journey that I've been on, but I'm happy to say with all the exposure therapy I've had at this point, it hasn't ruined it for me. I think I've come a really long way personally with that as well. So that's something I haven't really shared with you, but I know I do talk on here from time to time about the successes that I've had for in relation to that journey specifically with my PTSD from the earthquake and the tsunami in Japan, and then also from my car accident. So those things that I experience, especially when there's some kind of good, healthy resolution to it, I really like to share. And that I feel like is something I've ticked off my own personal bucket list that just even kind of surprised me. I mean, I really didn't know how it would go. Pardon me. And I'm really, really proud of that. So it all kind of ends pretty soon. It's a Christmas parade, so it can't go forever. I'm very sad about that. I think I'm really sad too because I've made lots of friends that I just don't know how I'm going to see them anymore. You know what I mean? And I used to go through this on contracts as well. For like 6 months, you'd be so close with all these people and you might never see them again. They live in completely different countries, or they're, you know, I mean, I've had friends that I've been so close with that I literally don't speak to for 6 years, and then all of a sudden we'll run into each other somewhere and it's like no time has passed. But obviously, you know that the time has passed because you've missed them for all that time. So I think that's one of the bittersweet feelings I have about it as well, that, you know, I've really gotten used to socializing again and not being by myself all the time, and having a community of performers that, you know, I can relate with in that way that I haven't been able to for so many years. Like it was my life for so long. You know, I just haven't really related to anybody on that for so many years. It was so nice to go back into it. But yeah, that's going to kind of all come to an end on January 8th, which is a really sad thought. So I won't try and dwell on it too much, but I am happy to say, this is another one of my little announcements, that I was offered another opportunity to dance at Disneyland as well. So it's not going to fully end on January 8th. I'm just going to transition into another aspect of performing at the park as well. Disneyland is, again, and it's only for a very short time at the start of the year. I'll tell you more about that when I can. So yeah, it won't end. I'll just be doing something different when the Christmas parade finishes. So that is, those are my feelings on that. I think the biggest takeaway for me is just, I just seeing all the guest faces. Like it really, it's so hard to believe that you're kind of hot and sweaty and like all the lights, and it can be really overwhelming, but then you'd get this like really cool tingly goosebumps all over because you see the castle all lit up at night with all the twinkly lights everywhere. You see the wreaths over Main Street, and you see people watching you, and they've been waiting there for so long, and they're so excited that you come down the street, and they're so happy. It just really makes me happy. So I have been really loving that, and that is some of my takeaways from that. Excuse me. What do I want to say about this? It said new office. It says new offer. Yeah, we talked about that. So I guess that's kind of it as far as information I want to share. My Christmas journal's been going well. I wish it was more full. I mean, I've been putting a lot in there, but I could just put more in there. I think the biggest mistake I made, which I didn't really know at the time, it's not a portable journal, so I couldn't really take it to work with me and do it in between parades or anything, because trying to take that massive thing, it just wasn't going to work. That was a bit of a mistake on my end. I do really love the journal. I think I also put too many pages in there because, again, how was I to know this? I've been spending so much time at Disneyland performing that I haven't really done any of the other stuff that we do at Christmas. We usually, Steve and I go to Disney on Ice. We didn't do that this year. I decided to save a buck. That Teachable upgrade really made me rethink a lot of things this Christmas, which is unfortunate. I went to Moulin Rouge, so I guess that was one thing we did. Pardon me. We went to see some lights last night. It was free. It was like regular household lights, but there was like a whole like part of the street blocked off so that people could like do traffic control. So I think it was like a thing that is popular and people go to, but we just went around the back way and just kind of looked at a few of them. So that was nice. But yes, other than that, like I really don't know what else we did. That's why I think I'm trying to put a lot of Australia into my Christmas journal, because that was my Christmas kind of experience. And yeah, I'll try and talk more about that when I either show you the vlog or perhaps in the playtest Patreon experience. I really do want to get Steve in for like a little podcast thing just so we can chat and tell you everything about it. I'm getting a tickle in my throat, so I think that's my sign to go because I don't want to cough all over this video. Thank you so much for joining me this year. Will it be, I'm sure I'll have one more video before the new year, won't I? 25th is a Sunday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I think I'll have one more video before the new year. So I'll see you then before the new year. Have a wonderful, happy, safe Christmas or whatever happy holidays you celebrate. Whatever you celebrate. I hope you have fun and have a really good time. Yeah, just be happy, be safe. I will see you again next Friday. Until then, bye.